All right, a quick walkthrough about the Swedish constitution for those of you that are going to watch my other videos. I hope you're watching this before you watch anything else, just so that you have the pretext of the primary nation that I'll be thinking of as I discuss the EU and ECHR. So, the main things you need to know about Sweden is that the constitution we have today originated from 1809, most original. However, the most familiar in the versions that have happened since then is the only version that was updated most officially in 1974. Now, we technically have an update of our constitution in 2010, but that would be more of a rough, taking away the rougher edges of the constitution. Now, the main things you need to know, Ringsformen. It's the first one that I'll be telling you about. We have technically four constitutions, or you could call it four sub-constitutions that together create one big one. Now, with regeringsformen, you could say that this is technically what it should have been if Sweden hadn't had these laws that I'll be explaining afterwards. But you should know that regeringsformen, RF, if anyone's watching from France, I know that you guys have a constitution that is just one document. If Sweden hadn't had these next sub-constitutions, you would probably only be looking at regeringsformen. It has 15 chapters, and it technically goes through everything, okay? The only difference is that the other three sub-constitutions, they sort of go through parts which are very much in line with Swedish thinking, but also in line with, the needs of the type of systematic laws that have been created beyond regeringsformen. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I should say, we call these tryckfrihetsförordningen, which is about pressing rights, so the right of pressing things, as in with newspapers. And then you have IGL, which is the free speech law, and it's about digital speech, and has existed for hundreds of years. The version we have today is from 1949, so post-World War II. IGL is from the 90s, which was a response to the need of having similar protections that the press freedom gave us, but also through digital forums or similar mediums that use the same materials for free speech in press form that also become digitalized, as in maybe newspapers and websites. We also have new circumstances such as live streams, which before wasn't something that existed, which now can be protected within these two sub-constitutions. Now, the main thing you need to understand with these two laws is, first of all, it's one of a kind. I'm pretty sure won't find another country with the same type of sub-constitutions as this one. It's pretty much, you could say, a choice, primarily, a choice by the individual to spread their free speech in certain ways which qualifies them to be placed into the protection, or rather the circumstances which are allowed to play out only within TF and IGL. So it's important to remember, these two laws together work, okay? And that is because you could have in TF, the press constitution could have something about physical press, while you would have to go on to IGL to find information about press in media, or press in digital form. Now, with that said, what I just described to you was the exclusivity principle. That's it. So, what do we know now? We know that Sweden has the main constitution, which is technically one of the four sub-constitutions, regeringsformen, which is the primary one. It pretty much is the real constitution. It has everything. It has everything about writing laws, about parliamentarism. It has laws about how the state needs to act, principles that are essential, the fact that we're a part of the EU, ECHR, different ways of doing checks and balances, and so on. Now, TF and IGL is just about free speech within certain qualifications that are needed to be met. It should also be mentioned that TF and IGL also regulates information which the state documents administratively. Now, that could be, for instance, tests taken in Sweden and universities. The documents of the tests are technically public, and it's through TF and IGL. Successionsordningen, as you can maybe guess, succession order. It's pretty much like 5 paragraphs, so not even more than maybe 200 words in total of just information about how the succession of the king should work. This is formality. This isn't important, trust me. The king doesn't technically matter in Sweden, even if Grundringsformen, one of its 15 chapters, is dedicated to the king. But the king is just as a formal position. The main thing that he does, or literally the only thing that he does politically, is that he convenes the first meeting of the new parliament every 4 years. Then, by that I mean every new election.